Okay, first scene, first take. Hello and welcome to Money for Young. I'm Gautam Vij, and with this video, I wanted to share a little background on what was the motivation for starting this academy. So, this takes me back to when I was a child myself. I would see my parents, both my mom and dad, work so hard to make both the ends meet. They would get up in the morning, get us ready, get ready themselves, go to the office, work so hard, come back, pick us from school, make dinner for us, help us with our homework, and before you know it, it was the next day again. And they would do this again and again and again for years and years altogether. And then, when I looked at their financial situation, I realized that, like most parents around, we were all financially struggling. When I compared my parents with one of my uncles who was super rich, I realized there's something that uncle knows that we don't. And I resolved that, hey, when I grow up, I don't want to be working so hard day in and day out and being at the same spot, what they call the rat race. But unfortunately, when I grew up, I found myself doing exactly the same. And that's when the light bulb went on and I said, hey, this is going to put me in the same situation as I've seen so many other parents do. So I spent a lot of time on understanding finance, the fundamentals of finance and business and how investing works, what is the right way to invest, and spent a lot of time. And I wanted to take that information, that knowledge that I gained over time, the wisdom that I gained over time, and pass on a legacy to my children. But then I thought that, why just my children? Why can't I expand this to the community? After all, I'm not doing anything that, if I expand, would not benefit other people as well. I don't have any vested interest. So that brings me to the second point of my motivation to start this foundation. The second point was when I would go to these seminars, right? The investing seminars, the trading seminars that claim to be free. It struck me that when I would go there, they would not only give me the information free of cost, but they would also give me donuts and bagels, and drinks and juices and coffees, and at times even meals. And I thought, why in this world would anybody give me all this information and the food and the, VIP treatment? And, there's got to be something behind that. And for sure, all these big academies that, help you, with knowledge, with training, your brokerage firm, for example, they all have vested interest at the end of the day, right? They want you to learn so you can go back and you can feel confident that, hey, now I understand how puts and calls work, or how callers work, or how, very risky strategies work. Volatility strategies and calendar spreads, and there's so many different techniques that can be mind-boggling how these work, and you feel, hey, I got to try this one. I know this one makes some money, this one makes sense, and you would end up going back and trading, and that's when these brokerage firms and these investing firms make money, right, through commissions. So there isn't really, I don't believe in free knowledge. I believe any knowledge that is free is definitely, there is something behind it which doesn't really pay off. So if you get invited to these seminars, which has free meals and free education, I would say just run as fast as you can. But what I did was, my strategy was a little different. I would go there with a clear understanding that I am not going to buy anything there, right? I'm just going to listen with an open ear, see what these guys have to say, and maybe I'll pick off one or two hints that I never thought about and include it into my strategy. And that's exactly what I did. Now that brings me to my third point. Who are the kind of people that go into these seminars? And the funny thing is, it almost broke my heart that 90% of the people that actually go to these seminars or webinars are people who are extremely old. They're already in their retirement. And what has happened is, because of the economy, because of the stock market dip, their 401ks went down, and they felt, hey, they got to do something so they can retire, right? And they can live peacefully with enough financial means. And I found that these people were learning things that they shouldn't be. And these guys should not be in these seminars to start with. They should put their money in a bank, use it in trust, and relax. At the most, the riskiest would be put it into dividend-paying stock, a very, very safe stock, an ETF, a mutual fund which would give dividends, and just settle with that. Not at the age of 90 years old or 80 years old being, doing these risky strategies. So I felt that I definitely don't want my dad to be there, right? So I thought I have to increase the awareness, and I have to start with young kids, with the youth. That's when you can do all of this. Although we don't recommend strategies that are risky, we don't recommend gambling, we look into investing. But still, the point is, when they start early, they have enough time to take the risk if they have to. And that was the third most important motivation, to start early, to spread the word. Don't let old people go there. We can't stop that, but at least increase the awareness. So young folks go in and listen to it and then try it out themselves. Make that part of their DNA. Imbibe what they think is helpful and spit out things that they feel are useless and move on. And then build their own strategies, use their own intellect, and use the strategies that they feel are working for them, and then go from there. And we help with all of that. But I just that was my third motivation. Well, the fourth one was my own children. As I said before, I wanted to pass on a legacy. And, my honest hope is that my children manage millions by the time I go to the grave, if not billions. I want them to be the smartest investors out there, investing their own money and hopefully investing under others' money as well, but doing it in a very ethical and a very value-oriented fashion. Investing is not about taking money from one person or cheating anybody. That is not investing, and we don't encourage that. We don't teach that. We teach very simple value investing fundamentals that help you in the long run, but they do take time. You are not going to get an overnight rich scheme here, and that is what we want to spread. Overnight rich schemes don't exist. They're only to take money away from you. There's a very funny quote. This guy, a friend of mine, who says, you know what, I know how to make millions overnight. You know how? You give me $1 billion, I'll make it $1 million. So there is no way to start small and make it big very quickly. And we talk about all of that in our classes. And the last thing was that the laws all over the world are very unfair in terms of being more fair for investors and less fair for job folks, right? People that go to jobs like myself as well. So people that actually work have to pay income tax. And the income tax can vary anywhere from a very low amount, 30% for most cases, unless you're in a low income group, to almost 40+%. Whereas the taxes you pay on investments, if they are being held for at least a year, what we call capital gains tax, is around 15%. So you, on one hand, you're paying 15%, on the other hand, you're paying 40+%. So by going to a job and making money, take an example of you make $100,000, you end up giving away almost $40,000 away. So you only have $60,000 in your pocket, right? If you make $200,000, well, you make more, but you again give off 40% of that away. So more you make, the bigger amount you still give away. Whereas in the case of investing, if you had $100,000, you would keep $85,000. So is $85,000 more or is $60,000 more? Obviously $85,000 is more. Now it doesn't matter whether you invest 100,000 or you invest 1 million or 1 trillion or 1 billion, whatever the amount you have. As you grow richer and you invest more and more, you still pay only 15%. Isn't that cool? Whereas in a job, the more you do, the bigger tax bracket you get into, and you pay more. So I just felt that investing was a very fundamental way of, a very natural and a very important way for growing your assets, becoming abundant and wealthy enough so you can have financial freedom. And it is very important to start early, and that's why we felt this foundation would be very helpful for the society, for the community, and we wanted to start with our children but expand it to everybody out there. And hopefully you'll find it useful. Hopefully you'll support us in our efforts. Hopefully we can change this world around by lighting one candle at a time. And that's our goal, that's our mission. Thanks for your time. Cut.